Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Welcome back in this episode of World of Tanks. We have Latvia season as UDES 14.5, Tier 5 Swedish medium tank in the new kind of half tank line. I guess it's more like a third of a tank line, but he is loaded into Fisherman's Bay, spawned into the north spawn. He initially went up to the middle, saw a couple guys up there and decided to flex back. Looks like he's going to head back down here to the town. He sent me this video and he said, hey, how do I deal with this TD at the end? So we're going to watch this bit of a heartbreaker at the end. We'll talk about some places in here where Latvia might have been able to do a few things different and perhaps come into the end of the game with a better advantage. So let's find out here. Yep, absolutely knock down every stone wall possible. You just, you know, not a bad idea. Sometimes you get spotted doing that because there's a T-20 up there on the corner in the middle. Actually gets hit by the Tiger because his front end's poking out. Back to the stone walls. Sometimes it is good to knock those down depending on the situation. Obviously, Artie can see them getting knocked down. If you have your sound set up correctly, you can actually hear them being knocked down if you're close. Or you can just see them getting knocked down. But if you're running a tank with heat, sometimes it's best to get rid of stone walls that are around you if you think they're going to be in the way of your shots. MX-65T is sitting over there on the edge. We're in this bush. We can see down the road. Yeah, we have to back up to there to be able to shoot without being seen. He actually puts one right to the side of this guy. Drops 339 on him. Nicely done right there. Not sure if that's an overmatch or an over angle, or he may have just got into... I know there's some goofy angles on the edge of the 65T, so he may have actually caught a flat plate. Flat plate portion of the 65T. Got an E2 up there, drops a nice 372 on his bonnet. Right in the old face. Shell to the face, and then that guy's trying to get away. Now we're just going to hang out here and wait for a shot. Now let's take a look at what's going on. We're down 1-2, not too bad. Got the 65T down here. Looks like the Rev and the UDES 14.5 of the enemy team is over on the other side. We are top tier. So we're in good shape here. Down goes our 12T, and we're starting to lose a little bit here. 1, 2, 3. Hard to push in. He knows there's a Tiger back there. He took a hit from him. There's a 65T there, and there's a Sturv way in the back somewhere nearby. What's unaccounted? Looks like there's an RHM out there somewhere and some other various smaller tanks. But most of them are accounted for now. Maybe 3 or 4 unaccounted for. And we're mentioning all that, and we're looking at this because we've got a pretty good stack down here. 30-45, the Tiger 1 way in the back there, in a really terrible position. They're waiting for somebody to come down that outside road, and that just really doesn't happen very often. Now we're down 2-4, and we're going to come around here looking for a shot. Thank goodness no one was sitting there, or we would have just eaten a shot, and now we find the Sturv goofing around over here. We don't get spotted, so we're going to hang out. Again, this is a bit dangerous. If somebody comes around that corner back there, you might take a hit before you have a chance to react to them. Because we're also really staring into the Sturv. So we missed that dude somehow. But he is unaware, just staring. I'm not sure if he didn't see the shell or he has no idea, maybe no sixth sense, but he gets blapped in the face for 336 and still not spotted, so he shoots back. Good on him. He shot back from where the shot came from. And just kind of sits around and wow. Alright, looked like he was trying to get away around the corner, so Latvius just pops that into him. Takes kind of a snap, although it was somewhat zoomed in, and is able to kill him off. So we got a Tiger 1. The E25 does some pretty good work raging in here. We got a Tiger. We're going to back up a little bit to get around that box so we can see the highlight. Now we are spotted. Good job sliding to the left right there, because there's probably at least the MX-65T. The E25 is going around the outside, so now we're getting a bit of sandwich going on. We hit the T29 and bounce him, unfortunately. Now the E25 is back in amongst them. All right, so your E25 gets in there, and he's got all of their attention right now. I would probably have gone in there and been a little more aggressive helping him out. Your guys are following up, but right now the E25 really hasn't moved. See how they're all moving towards him, minus, I guess, the Tiger, who actually doesn't go. So come out there reloaded. And you're doing what I just said right there. You weren't reloaded anyway, so the Tiger actually made that work for you. And unfortunately, he comes in and rams. He misses initially. Okay, so we know there's a 65T and a T29 in there. We got a lot of buddies. So we're going to see the 65T go down, and we immediately turn away from that. We got a T-29 back there, the T-34-85M, and those guys. And you may have been thinking right here, all right, they're going to handle him. I'll flex over here. I would agree with that if you immediately had another shot, but you needed to make that guy go away. And what's going to happen back here, actually, is he survives for a couple shots, and he actually ammo racks at 34-85, and you finally get rid of him. So you might have got some hit points in there, maybe been able to save the 34-85. Kind of an outside chance. We're going to come up here then. We're looking for this T-20. I agree with this, flexing back. You know, Latvia said every Muppet has his day. We'll see that come up. We got the T-20. Put a shot into him. Looking at the Sturv. Interesting that you bounce the T-20, but the Sturv puts his shot right into you. And if I had to bounce one, I would pick the T-20 to bounce on that trade. Sturv spotted. Tiger 1 and ISM are down in the south. E-25 has gone all the way around. The Charioteer is up top. You really want to get rid of this Sturv, and I agree with this. This is a good plan. Get up here and make this guy go away. And then we've got to start deciding what we're going to do from there. I think I'd have prioritized that Udez. Well, it doesn't look like you have a shot. Never mind. So nicely done here. You're going to get rid of this guy, I think, in just a second. He actually gets another shot into you. And the Udez is now gone dark. The Tiger and the ISM, unfortunately, and the E-25 continue to push into what is basically a sniper's nest up there. Just not really a great idea. Yeah, get up here and try to get rid of this silly Sturv. Down he goes. Back out of that. Avoid the Hummel taking a shot at you. Now the Hummel is spotted. That's a good thing. Hopefully these guys can get rid of that. And I would agree, if you're getting spots to do what you're doing here, come across and take a look into these bushes here and see if you can't then bring some supporting fire down here. There goes the Hummel. Yeehaw. And now the Tiger and ISM, they really can't push. There's a couple bushes down there. They're hiding out behind the road and some bushes there. And it would have been nice if they had not flexed in there. And you find the Udez out in the open. This is just a gift right there. Good on him. Looks like the M44 spotted the poor guy. So we get that guy down, and now I think we're really at crunch time. How do we dig out a bunch of TDs and a medium that are going to kind of turtle up? The bad news for you is you're spread out across the map. The good news is you're spread out across the map. So you got a lot of vision control, but they've got a lot of guns more or less in the same place. I don't think you want to move too far up in the middle here because you're just going to get crossfired. The question is, where's that RHM gone? Really all of them for that matter, but really the RHM, because RHM showed some inclination to move up. I would imagine the Hellcat and the JP are probably still camping in the corner, although we find out an interesting thing about them here momentarily. So my guess at this point would be the RHM is somewhere over on that road, or potentially up on your sniper spot back over here. There is a chance he's flexed back, but really what you want to do is clear out this area over here and kind of make sure there's no one over here. So you flex back, and you might be thinking that I might go all the way down and around. The problem with that is it's not supported by your other guys. Now, that's what I said about the JP. You're going to find something interesting about this guy. He's actually driving around down here. I would have jumped all over him. Once he went behind the buildings, I'd have charged down there and tried to get rid of this guy as soon as possible. You're going to have to assume to some extent that he's not being followed up by the RHM, and now the RHM is spotted, so he isn't. And you're also a little bit exposed to shots from over here. So say one of those guys had actually been following the JP and was either here or maybe up here in these bushes. All of a sudden you're in a crossfire. So that's another reason why I would have dove down low right there and taken on this JP, and I would have been very interested in helping that M44 survive. Because against something like the, just a missed opportunity there, against something like the RHM, a M44 is very, very useful, as well as against the Hellcat. So just charge down there and take this dude out. We kind of go a roundabout way of doing it. Come over here and we find him finally and take him down. Good job. Yeah, I would dive down low here for probably the reasons you're thinking. Just try to minimize any shots you may have on you from up there on the sniper nest. But it feels like maybe they just didn't have anybody up there. So we flex about. I would not go around the back. Somebody... Oh, Latvius is clicking. I thought someone was clicking on you. I would not go straight up the middle. This is not the move I would have made right here. Either come up through the middle or flex over here and come up along the red line. Maybe try to get through these bushes and sneak up underneath them. Good news is it ends up working out. There's nobody sitting up there. The Hellcat is clearly back there somewhere, and now there's the RHM again. So more than likely, good news, the Hellcat goes down. More than likely, the Rev is somewhere near where he was last seen, because he just hasn't moved around any. You haven't seen him kill anybody recently. So I think you're looking in more or less the right place. The results will bear it out. He is over here. So we come in, we dive down, and we have 707 hit points. Now if the RHM's got the big gun, then he can pretty easily one-shot us. So we do need to be careful there. If he's got the smaller gun, he's going to take 2 shots. The Rev is going to take 2 shots to take us out. And we get spotted coming up here. So we get spotted, we back up. There's the Rev. The ISM maybe has shots on him, or at least an angle. We're going to see him moving around. We'll go dark, and then I see you crawl up here, which is a good plan. Absolutely. And then we make kind of a critical error right here. We're going to come in, and we see him, and we just didn't need to fire right there. Right? Because if we look through the bush, he can absolutely see us. You needed to back up until that bush was solid, which would have been easy to do right about here or so. Take that shot and then dive off. Let's say you backed up to here and you didn't make the bush solid. It's a much shorter distance to crawl off the back and have him not hit you, because you're going to trade some hit points here, and that's a bummer. So down you go. Now you're definitely a one-shot to the RHM, even if he has the smaller gun, and that's a little bit painful right there. So you've lost some options. Rev is moving around. He kind of comes up at you, looking to use that depression. He misses. And I'd have charged at him right there. You're going to out-reload this guy. And it looks like you finally get that idea and come at him. Now, I know you're probably a little bit worried about exposing yourself to the RHM, but you really did the right thing there to get rid of that guy. Now, he was out in the open. Another option would have been to just let him float around in the open a little bit, because he wasn't really going to get away. You could have actually pulled back, gone dark, come around behind here and come up in these bushes, and probably taken a shot on him without worrying about a return shot, and without worrying about being lit for the RHM. But you don't take any shots, and that makes me wonder and think the RHM is probably down in that corner somewhere on the back, or on the back edge of the map. No shots came in, and this looks like a pretty much one deal, right? So I told you that Latvia sent me this, and he said every Muppet has its day, so clearly something bad is going to happen. All right, how do we approach an RHM? Well, this is probably not the best way to do it right here. I like that you're using the bushes as cover, but we really just went right out in the open, and if he'd have been hanging out in this area, we'd have definitely ate a shot right there. We're kind of lucky he's not up in here and hasn't seen us moving up forward. But we don't get lit, so that's fine. Take that intel. We'll move into these bushes and take a look. Really just hoping for him to make a mistake, or to have something poking out from a bush, or just be sitting out in the open like a Muppet. We'll come in here. We'll destroy their radar. And there you go. They didn't need that. Looking around, nothing going on. And really kind of hoping that the ISM is going to have a shot on this guy. He's still hanging out up there hiding. Okay, great. So now we approach, and he has proven that he's not up in these edge bushes, which clearly he is going to be, as he has not gone by the M44. Unlikely he could have snuck by him. Hasn't gone through the middle against the ISM. Probably down in here somewhere, or maybe down in the buildings. And that becomes problematic, because now we got a bunch of open ground. So we're going to come over here. We're going to take a look. We don't get lit, and we kind of drive into the open. And I would not have done that. I'd have come down the edge of this road right here, headed this way, maybe use this bush, take a look again, and then sneak through this lower area. I might have even gone in here and just hang out in this bush and sit there for a minute, although you don't have a lot of time. The reason I say that is to maybe entice the ISM to start moving forward. That's probably not going to happen. He is really just being a bit of a camperino right there. My assumption he's back in these bushes, and this is where I cringe. I'm like, holy cow, we are absolutely going to get wrecked here. The problem with this approach is you've got nowhere to hide. If he's in the bushes, he's going to shoot you in the face. Turns out he's right there, and that is extra painful. And unfortunately, we actually missed this shot. We zoom in. Oh, that's not true. We do hit him for a track only, which is absolutely infuriating. And folks, this guy ends up winning the game. The ISM drives in. tries to side scrape, gets one shot. The M44, I think he actually hits the RHM. And then the M44 takes a shot and misses, and the RHM drives up and kills the M44. Such a bummer. All right, so a couple places we lost hit points that we shouldn't have. That would have given you more options, maybe been able to survive the shot had you not taken that shot against the Rev, for example. What did the RHM roll? He rolled a 360. A 360, so you would have survived that shot had you not taken the shot from the Rev, which is probably the worst example right there of taking a shot that you did not need to take during the game. So while the question is pretty straightforward, how could I do this a little bit better? You can go, all right, let's talk about the approach to the RHM, but if you back it up a few steps, you can look at it and go, well, I didn't leave myself any options because I didn't have enough hit points to take that one shot from the RHM right there. So had I not played poorly against the Rev, had I maybe helped some of my other guys live, i.e. the T-34 or 85, not saying that was a sure thing, but it was certainly more of a sure thing had you gone in and tried to help than just turning around and leaving that fight right there. All those things start to add up, and maybe at the end of this you have a little bit better chance to influence the game yourself instead of relying on your two Muppets to go in there and die to the other Muppet. So thanks for sending it in, though. It's a valuable lesson. It's end game wins, right? These kinds of games right here are the ones that separate the 50% from the 55%, right? And from 55 to 60, it's more of controlling the game from the very beginning. Controlling the game from the very beginning. You got those 55 to 60% guys and 60 plus, they control pretty much all the games. They do well here, but they begin controlling from the very beginning of the game. The 50 to 55% players learning how to win these, right? Every, one game out of 10 or so. Maybe even one game out of 20 to get from 50 to 55%, where they do the right things end game and are able to increase that win rate. All right, guys. We'll see you. That's all I've got. Later.